Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty serious emerging in the cyber world, a new botnet called Aisuru.
That's right. And the potential scale here is, well, it's alarming.
Yeah, our information is coming mainly from a report in The Independent. It really digs into the discovery and, frankly, the power this thing might have.
It does. It paints a concerning picture.
So our mission today for this deep dive is pretty clear. We need to understand what this Aisuru threat really is. How do these botnets even work, sort of under the hood? And, what could it mean for us, for businesses, for the internet we use every day?
It's definitely critical to grasp. We're not just talking about websites going down temporarily. The potential knock-on effects for digital infrastructure, for commerce, it's significant.
Okay, so let's start with the basics then. The report uses the term botnet a lot. For anyone listening who isn't deep into cybersecurity, can you maybe break that down? What is a botnet?
Sure. So imagine a whole network of devices connected to the internet. Your computer, maybe, but also increasingly things like smart home gadgets. Security cameras, smart fridges, maybe even those speakers you talk to.
Right, the Internet of Things stuff?
Exactly. Now imagine these devices have been kind of secretly infected with malicious software. This software lets an attacker control them remotely, usually without the owner having any clue. It basically creates a hidden army of compromised devices, all waiting for orders.
Ah, okay, so all those gadgets may be shipped with default passwords nobody ever changes.
That's often the weak spot, yes. Poor security makes them easy targets. Once a device is compromised, it becomes a bot, part of this larger net. And when you get thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of these bots working together, that's where the real power comes in. They can be used for all sorts of things, but one of the main uses is launching distributed denial of service attacks.
DDoS.
DDoS attacks. Okay, so how does this digital army actually use that combined power to take down a website or a service? What happens? Well, think of a website like a shop with a doorway. It's designed to handle a certain number of customers coming in and out. A DDoS attack is like sending an absolutely impossible number of fake customers, millions of them all trying to cram through that doorway at the exact same time. This flood of junk traffic comes from all the bots in the network, all directed at the target.
So it just overwhelms the system.
Precisely. It swamps the target's servers, uses up all their resources, bandwidth, processing power. Legitimate users, the real customers, simply can't get through the noise. The service effectively gets knocked offline.
Okay, that makes sense. A digital traffic jam, basically. So we get botnets, we get DDoS, but what makes this specific botnet, Aisuru, so concerning? Why is it making headlines now?
The big flashing light here, according to this report, is its sheer size, its potential scale. What really brought it into focus was a massive attack they apparently launched recently. It targeted the website of Brian Krebs. He's a very well-known cybersecurity journalist.
Brian Krebs, right. And the numbers involved in that attack were just staggering, weren't they?
They really were. The report states the attack peaked at 6.3 terabits per second, TBPS. Now, to put that into perspective, the Independent's piece highlights that Aisuru is estimated to be roughly 10 times the size of the Mirai botnet.
10 times Mirai. Wow, I remember Mirai. That caused huge problems back in 2016.
Exactly. Mirai took down major sites. So a botnet potentially 10 times bigger. Well, it signals a whole new level of threat.
That's almost difficult to wrap your head around. The report actually quoted Brian Krebs himself about this. What was his take?
Yeah, he wrote about it on his blog. He described the attack as looking very much like a test run. A test run for, in his words, a massive new Internet of Things, IoT, botnet, capable of launching crippling digital assaults. He basically saw it as a demonstration, a flexing of muscles by whoever controls this thing.
And it wasn't just Krebs sounding the alarm, right? Google got involved in defending his site. What did they say?
That's right. Google Cloud helps protect Krebs' site. And Damian Menscher, one of their security engineers, was quoted. He clearly said it was the largest attack Google Cloud had ever dealt with, ever. And he added that an attack of that size would, quote, kill most companies, just overwhelm their defenses completely.
Kill most companies? That's sobering, especially coming from Google. But here's something interesting the report mentioned. Despite being so huge, this 6.3 TBP's attack didn't actually take Krebs' site down. How does that work?
That's a really key detail. The attack, while massive in volume, was incredibly short. It lasted less than a minute. That brevity, combined with the defenses Krebs has in place, likely Google's infrastructure absorbing the blow, is probably why there was no visible disruption.
Less than a minute. Okay, so if it wasn't really designed to cause maximum damage in that instance, why do it? What's the point of such a short, massive blast?
Well, The thinking, as the report touches on, is that these kinds of attacks often serve a different purpose. It could be the operators testing the capabilities of their botnet, seeing what it can really do, and perhaps even more likely, it's used as an advertisement, a demonstration of power to attract potential customers who might want to rent the botnet.
Ah, right. Which leads us into this whole shadowy marketplace for cyber attacks. The report mentions some findings from NetScout, a cyber monitoring firm. What did they find about the general landscape here?
Yeah, NetScout's data gives some context. They apparently detected over 27,000 botnet attacks just in March. And specifically for service providers like ISPs, they were seeing an average of one attack hitting them every 2 minutes.
Every 2 minutes. So this isn't rare. This is constant background noise almost.
It's a persistent threat, definitely. These attacks are happening all the time, though usually not at the scale Aisuru demonstrated.
And it's not always the botnet creators themselves doing the attacking. You mentioned renting. The report talks about DDoS for hire services.
Exactly. It's like a black market service. People who've built or control these botnets rent out their firepower. Someone who wants to take down a rival's website or extort a company or just cause chaos can pay to launch a DDoS attack using someone else's botnet. These services are often advertised, sometimes quite openly, on platforms like Telegram channels.
Wow. So the barrier to entry for launching a massive attack is lower than you might think.
Potentially, yes.
Right.
You don't necessarily need the skills to build the botnet yourself if you have the money to rent one.
And the report even gave a specific data point on Aisuru's rental cost, though it's from last year. What did it say?
It mentioned that back in August of the previous year, access to Aisuru was apparently being offered for something like $150 a day. But here's the crucial part. At that time, its estimated power was only about a third of what was seen hitting Krebs' site recently.
Only a third. So in less than a year, it's potentially tripled in size or power.
That's what the data suggests. A very rapid and very worrying growth trajectory.
Okay, let's try and connect the dots here for everyone listening. We have this potentially enormous botnet, Aisuru. It seems to be growing incredibly fast. It's capable of launching attacks powerful enough to, as Google put it, kill most online operations. And parts of it, or maybe all of it, might be available for rent on the dark web. That sounds like a recipe for serious trouble.
It absolutely is. A tool of this magnitude really does represent a significant escalation. The potential for disruption isn't just theoretical. It could cripple major online businesses, interfere with financial systems, maybe even impact critical infrastructure if targeted effectively.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, the big takeaway seems to be that Aisuru signals a dangerous new chapter in DDoS threats. The scale is just way beyond what we've typically dealt with.
That's the core message, yes. Its demonstrated power in that test run is a serious warning sign.
And it really leaves you, the listener, with something to think about, doesn't it? We rely more and more on all these connected devices this digital world.
We do. And the existence of tools like Aisuru really forces a question. What does this mean for the stability and security of that world? What vulnerabilities are we maybe ignoring? And critically, what steps do we need to take individually, as businesses, as a society, to actually defend ourselves against this kind of escalating threat? It's something we really need to consider going forward.
I don't wanna know if you burn me, just keep it on the low. Girl, 'cause my heart sticking anymore. If you're creeping, please don't let it show. Oh, baby.